Hello, girls and boys. Welcome to Storytime Fun. We hope you enjoy it.
Today's story is called The Tiny Detectives. Can Trees Talk? By Cressida Cowell. Meet the Tiny Detectives. Ollie, Mom, Dad, Beetle and Bo. The Tiny Detectives are very little indeed. They're also very curious. That's why they live in a bookcase, because even the littlest of people can find answers to big questions if they dive into a book. And that is exactly what the Tiny Detectives do best. One beautiful spring morning, the tiny family were having breakfast when Bo asked a big question. "Can trees talk to one another?" asked Bo, who was the smallest of the tiny family. "That's a big question, little Bo," said Dad. "But you're never too small to ask a big question," said Mom, waving her teeny arms around energetically. "We can jump into a book and find out the answer." "Great," said Ollie and Tika, who loved an adventure. "Should Beetle and I come too?" squeaked Bo anxiously. "I think Beetle might be frightened." Bo didn't like to admit it, but he was a little frightened himself. "Yes, you and Beetle too," said Dad. "You're never too small to have a big adventure." So the tiny detectives and their pet beetle, called Beetle, climbed to the top of the bookcase. And very slowly, with much huffing and puffing, they opened a book called Trees. "Beetle really isn't sure about this," said Bo nervously. "Hold on to my waist, Bo," said Dad, "and hang on tight to Beetle so he isn't frightened." Dad wound the red story thread around his waist so they could get back out of the book when they reached the end of their adventure. Bo hugged Beetle and Dad very tight. And Dad bravely made a great leap right into the heart of the story. The tiny detectives found themselves in the vast sunny grasslands of Africa. All around them were tall, gentle giraffes grazing on leaves. Tiga and Ollie and Bo made friends with some cheerful crickets, but they didn't realize they were being followed by a mongoose, slinking quietly through the grasses, watching them with beady eyes. When you are smaller than a mouse, a mongoose is very dangerous indeed. "See how the giraffes are eating the umbrella thorn acacia trees?" said Mom. "But the trees fight back by pumping their leaves full of poison that has a nasty taste." Bo watched as the giraffe above him spat out the leaf. And the trees whose leaves are being eaten give out a warning gas that tell the other trees, "Uh-oh, giraffes are in the area. All you other trees should make your leaves poisonous too," said Dad. The tiny detectives could smell the gas rising off the leaves of the acacia trees. What they didn't notice was the mongoose. It sprang forward, showing all its bright teeth. "Ah, shouted Ollie, and the tiny detectives jumped on the backs of the friendly crickets, flying up and away from the hungry mongoose. Wow! Breathed Bo in excitement, looking down at the beautiful grassland stretched out below him. Time to go home, said Dad. Dad gave 3 big tugs on the red story thread, and the tiny detectives were pulled right up and out of the book, landing safely on the bookshelf. So, another case solved for the tiny detectives, said Dad with satisfaction. Trees can talk to one another, said Tiga. And Beetle wasn't scared after all, said Bo, smiling. He had been so busy finding out about acacia trees and flying on the back of a cricket that he had forgotten to be frightened, even of the mongoose. I told you, said Dad, patting Bo and Beetle on the back, you're never too small to have a big adventure. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time.